if you're in business, man, just treat people like you would treat your family members that you like.
Yeah.
Just treat them like family, dude. And if like you have rules and you have processes, right, and that you have policies, there's one way to say like, hey, that's just our policy. Or you can say like, hey, dude, I appreciate it. I understand where you're coming from. The reason we have this set this way is because of this. Unfortunately, it's the way it is. But I'd love to work with you in another aspect, such as blank, 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 right? And offer an alternative. Has anything changed with you over the last?
No. Everybody keeps asking me, they're like, oh, how is life different now that you're married? I'm like, I don't know, not really much. For our honeymoon, we slept in different beds just because everywhere we booked just so happened to be
double beds.
We ended up getting double beds, which actually worked out really well considering I was sick the entire time.
Oh.
So that actually wasn't that big of a deal. But then I'm like, oh yeah. Oh, how's married life? Is it different? I'm like, well, we didn't just meet yesterday, so not any different.
It's like ours was too. It was like business as usual, as crazy as that sounds, but it's like, do you feel different?
Yeah.
No.
No. Like, am I supposed to? I mean, it feels good, obviously, that we're married, and it's like the solidification. I will say the wedding was awesome.
Yeah.
We definitely wanted to make it where, especially since I'm in Montana, and we have a little bit like her parents live out here, her aunt and uncle live out here. But outside of that, everybody else is from out of town. So we did want to
experience Montana.
Yeah. So they got like a true experience. So it was cool since we rented out an entire Nordic ski lodge that we had like my immediate family, her immediate family stay at. So that was actually really cool because people got to really connect and get to know each other. And then we did the ski lap after, we got married in the church, went up to the mountain, and there was about 15 of us that went down just in our wedding gear. And that was really cool. Except the mountain was a fucking pain in the ass. They did everything possible to make it as difficult as they possibly could, because we called them in advance and we're just like, hey, we're getting married. We're going to head up for just a ski lap. We're not going all the way to the summit. We're just going to go to one chair that brings it up and then just go down, probably be on the mountain for 15 minutes, get some photos. There's going to be a large group of us. A lot of them are from out of town. There's anything that we can get.
Yeah.
Of course we asked for like a little discount. They're like, no, not at all. And then so we're like, all right, whatever. That's a pain in the ass. We're going to go up for a partial thing. Not running gear. Like, we're not spending the whole day there.
Right.
It was like, cool, whatever. That's what you're going to do. No discounts. Fine. And then we get up there. Well, actually, the day before, a buddy of mine came in from out of town. He went snowboarding on the mountain. He got up there like first chair. And he said, yeah, I was listening to, they were having a meeting and they let everybody know that there was a wedding party coming the next day. And whatever they did, no discounts, nothing. We're like,
what? Wow. Really?
Like really aggressive, anti, letting us. It's like, and I guess Whitefish, it's definitely more expensive than I anticipated, or at least it was in the last couple of years. Yeah. Especially if you're not fucking there all day to enjoy it. It's a great mountain.
Right.
But so then we go up there and their machine's down, and the lady is a fucking cunt that's working at the counter because she's like, oh, like, we're there, we got, again, 15 people. We're not wearing jackets, which is, again, our own idiot fault. But, it was going to be really cool, really help out the photos, and it was fun. And this was an absolutely awesome experience. But we get up to the counter. We're like, hey, there's whatever amount of us that are from out of town that need to, get passes for.
Right.
We're going to pay. And then she's like, oh, our machine's down. We're like, okay. So, like, we can't pay for this. We can't buy these tickets.
I figured our topic out for the day as you're telling the story, but go ahead.
Okay. And then, and she was just not a very friendly individual. So then I just got, I got a little pissed. But we had to send like 2 people down. They went down and they were like, everybody has to sign a waiver, which is bullshit. And maybe unless when you buy a ticket, it gives a waiver for anybody, even though we just sent down 2 people, right, who are friends from out there, because they also had season passes like us. So they were able to get a discount for it for everybody else that needed to get a ticket that day. So they had to like go down. So we're sitting there. Luckily, actually, one of my clients, one of the partners in one of the gyms, she does real estate and had her office. So it was like right next to the chairlift because they're building these awesome like condos right there in the ski mountain. So we were able to
Yeah.
go in there and shoot the shit. And that was like, talk about the difference of like service. You go in, you go to the mountain. This lady that we're talking to, trying to get tickets from, is just a nightmare. I'm like,
Right.
I even said, I was like, can I just give you my card information, all that stuff? And she's like, nope. So we had to send somebody down. So we go into the office of Deb, and she's like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, who can I get anybody want a drink? What can I do to like help you guys out? We had like a little fire there hanging out. So it was just interesting, the difference, just in perspective of just, I don't know, service. And there were some other people that were on the mountain too that like actually worked. That were like, come on, maybe we can just talk to this chairlift and just let him go up. They're just going down for a quick lap. And, one guy was like, no, we can't do that. But eventually they came up, got the tickets. We did the ski lap. It was freaking awesome. It was very, I didn't know what to expect out of it. That was Z's idea, but it was a very, very great idea. Super cool idea. The photos and the videos that we got were super epic. And then we went back, and it was also kind of cool. I used to talk shit for weddings that would have them at like 2 different venues. But if you're getting married in the church, like you have to get married in the church.
Yeah.
Like you can't get married somewhere else. And then I would always be like, well, why are you having these different things? There's all this time in between. Like we had a super long gap. Like the wedding was at 11 and the reception was at 5.
Right.
5:30. Or when, appetizers and stuff happened. But it was cool because then we didn't like feel rushed. We went back and it was just an absolute freaking blast. I'm super biased, but I think it was the best wedding I've ever been to. It was just really, really fun. So that was super cool. And yeah, we went on our honeymoon on Monday. Some people came over to the house, hung out the next day, and just kind of like took it easy. A couple of people kind of, if they came in, like, my brother and his wife, a couple of my friends, like they came in and they were able to get like a last night just for like them and their partner and stuff, which was cool. So they could turn a little bit, but outside of that. And then when I went on the honeymoon, because we were joking about it, I was like, I'm in such a work mode. Like that's a season I'm in, is back to like growing business and all these ideas. And I brought my laptop and I was like, I'll just work a little bit. Usually I wake up.
That thing never left the fucking luggage.
Dude, it didn't. I did not open it once. Didn't even attempt to. I had like one call I had to take during the whole week, but outside of that, I think it also, because since I was like sick, I had like zero energy for a couple of days, but didn't do a fucking thing, and that was awesome.
That's good. You sit there and focus on your stuff, and congratulations for those who don't know. Bob got married, and this is what he's talking about. I'm sure you picked up on that, right? Like I don't think anybody's like dumb enough to not catch up on that. But but when you just talked about, one thing that stuck out to me was when you were like, the guy was telling the employees, don't give them any discounts.
Yeah.
Like if you're a business, right? Like there are rules and there are guidelines you got to follow and there are processes you got to follow for a reason, right?
Yeah.
But when you like make it about that to the detriment of the client, there's no exceptions, there's no understanding, or there's no empathy with like sharing the rules or whatever like that. Like, if the conversation is like, hey guys, there's a wedding in here. Let's make this super special for them, right? Let's make this an amazing experience. But, there's fair treatment and there's also, discounts on prices. We're not going to do the latter, but let's make it a special experience for them. They chose our spot and, we're grateful that they chose our spot to get married at, right? Like that's the communication, right? So what do you train your employees to do? Like these guys are pieces of shit. Don't give them anything. F them. And it's like, and so that kind of like, and well, I don't know if this is the topic you want to jam on, but like it all comes from the top. It all comes from the direction of the manager and the leader, right? And if it's all about the processes and just being right and telling people they're wrong and just making people follow your rules, your employees are going to embody that, and it's going to be a terrible experience. And recently, over the last few years, a lot of bad businesses have gotten rich. And when business is going to be tough coming again, they're going to fail and other people are going to come up that do good business, because right now it's not hard to make money. Any idiot you don't have to have customer service. You don't have to be good. Just like that's what it's been for the past few years. Right. And when it goes back to like serving your customers, like we're going to see who the real, like, good businesses are and aren't.
Well, it's tough because, I see both perspectives, because like from the consumer side of things, I'm like, it's, we had a bunch of people from out of town. They weren't coming there for a ski weekend. Some
Yep.
people who did come there early to get some extra skiing in, like they went the day before or the day before that. They got their passes. They went up. They, made a thing out of it. So like some of those. Now we're not a huge party, so it's not like we're bringing in a ton of business or anything like
Right.
that. But, so, from the consumer side of things, I'm like, hey, we're just going up. We're not going a whole day of the mountain. We're just going up there because we think it's going to be an awesome experience. Obviously, we love our area. We love skiing. And it would just be super cool. So from a consumer side of things, I'm like, hey, just, obviously wanting a hookup. But then from the business side of things, I also get it where it's like, hey, we don't, if we don't do discounts, we don't do discounts, period. You know,
But there's a
and it's
way
like,
to
hey,
prep your team members to
and there's also,
understand that.
well, so I'm just sharing my perspective. Like I get it from like their thing. It's like they also knew that we were going to do it regardless. So we were planning on doing it. So it's like we were going to buy, so they're going to buy. And even the thing is, we weren't asking for even more, but just like, we just wanted to get everybody the prices that we ended up getting, which was like because we just had people that had passes buy them the discount. So I don't know what the price. I think Z told me. I was like, well, how much? It's not that expensive to fucking ski for a day. It's like $80. He was like, no, it's like 160 now, which again for some people is not that super expensive compared to certain resorts.
Right.
But for like Whitefish, it's like, huh. So we weren't being like, hey, let's throw you like $10. We just wanted to get everybody where they were paying what it would be if you had essentially a season pass, just because they were only going to be up there for a very, very short run. So I also get their perspective where maybe they just, whatever, they have their policy, but 100% agree with you. Whereas at the end of the day, I know they were bought prior to me moving out here by probably some sort of venture or PE firm or whatever. But, I think that there is, especially, and again, we're not going to have that big a word of mouth or anything like that, but there is, it's like, hey, what are your core values that you're living by? Your core values that is 100% showing is like money over everything. And that is one thing that and I've definitely in my years of business fallen into the greed trap, made sure like my decisions were about like how much money can I make right now, as opposed to thinking about the long term. Or just also if I do right by my customers and I have an amazing product, I have great marketing on top of it, like I'm going to continue to grow. So I do agree. And I think that especially during harder economic times, those companies that have an amazing product, that have amazing customer service and have amazing customer experience, like those are the ones that are going to last. There's a lot of fucking companies that have been able to grow and make do. I mean, like I was reading something like with Stripe. Like Stripe is a huge company, but they just shut down people's accounts with no warning.
Dude, they don't even
No,
care. Like
they don't care. Yeah.
I can't even get
It's
customer
like,
support, dude. I run like $12 to $15 million a year with them, and they can't even get somebody on the phone for customer support. It's like terrible.
I honestly don't know why you use Stripe. Like
It's just
Stripe is
easy.
like good, like unless you're, because that's the other thing is because I remember
Well,
when I first opened up,
authorize.net is integrated with GHL now too, and
yeah,
we actually use that for Hapro.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say because we use when I first opened up Legion and I was using PaySimple or whatever, like we used their processing, and then so we were since we were a smaller company originally, we were on a higher tier, and then as we grew, all of a sudden, like one of my clients at the Florida gym was like, hey, he did payment processing, so he took a look at it and he's like, hey, I can save you this much money, and now by the time I had my Florida location, that was location number 5, so we were doing
Yeah.
some decent volume.
You save
And
a
then
percent, that's huge money. It's a huge difference. You can put
yeah,
back into clients, back into experience, back into employees. Like,
yeah, when you're doing millions, a year, it adds up. So
yeah.
that's how eventually, like, I kind of learned about other payment processing companies, which is, how we also got with authorize.net too, because it makes a big ass difference. And then, also, and there are like, when you look at the supplement game too, there's sometimes if you're a kind of, but it's the shitty thing is you can be completely aboard, not doing any shady stuff or anything like that, and like can get shut down right away. That's why there's other people that go to use merchant accounts like Easy Pay Direct or something like that, where if they are a little bit fringe, like you have a bunch of different payment processors, I think that they connect you with and all that stuff, so you don't have to worry about it. But it's crazy. But their customer support is ass. It's like the cool
Yeah.
thing was I was working with Phil is I could call Phil, text Phil right away, shit got figured out. And if it took a little bit, he was updating me, and he did right by me, so it was like, cool, we're using authorized.net through some other company or whatever. And then, but yeah, with Stripe, they're like, oh, this isn't fine. Some people are like, oh, well, you just have to email the founder and he'll work it through. Like, that's not how it should work. Like, you shouldn't have to go over and over and over above board, because then eventually, you'll have another company that comes through that can do what you do, but better, and that better thing can be better rates, or same rates, but amazing customer service who truly gives a shit about your customer. And if you waited too long, I mean, you could crush your business.
Dude, I hear time and time again, it's our customer service and our willingness to understand people and like talk to them is like the difference between attorneys. Like, you can buy leads anywhere. Do I think ours are the best? Do I think we provide the best? Yeah, we have some guarantees. We train you. We do all this other stuff. But like, at the end of the day, it's just about like, people will spend money with you if like people will buy from people that make them feel good, right? Yes, it's a buying decision based on end results, but like, if you like a person and they truly provide a good service, right, you'll give them a little bit of leeway if they have a down month, right? Or you'll be willing to talk. Like, if there are people that you don't like, you will literally search for anything wrong with the product and say, screw this, I'm out. So you have to treat, and like, one of our core values is with empathy. Like, just always seek to understand where people are at, man. That's all it's about.
It's interesting. One of our core values, and I've carried this in every single one of my businesses, is just +1. And I stole that from Disney.
Yeah.
And
Disney's great.
Because originally we had a couple of our core values, and when we worked with an EOS implementer, we had a couple core values, and he's like, these are just traits that you want. Like, it wasn't one of ours, but like, be kind. It's like, do you want to hire, does that need to be a core value, or is that just something that somebody should automatically have? Do you want to hire somebody that's not kind?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So he challenged us, and that's when we redid our core values, and we're like, we want our experience to be above and beyond. We want our client to be wowed by what we're doing. So that's where we came up with a +1. +1 equals, wow them with customer experience. And that's a huge thing. And I think a lot, and that's one of the things that we find with a lot of, companies when they're having retention issues, or they're having, and their attrition's higher, they don't convert their front end clients into back end clients. You just look at it and you're like, well, you're just transactional in your relationships, and especially if you're a service-based business, pricing, yes, it's going to be important for certain people, but at the end of the day, somebody who's thinking of doing business with somebody long-term, you got to be good at what you do. Right. And then you got to be able to provide amazing fucking customer experience.
Right.
And like that customer service, that accessibility, we hear from so many people so many times. Like, I remember I had a buddy of mine, he used to own a gym, and then he decided to transition into online coaching, and we were just chatting. He's like, oh, I paid this company to do all this done for you stuff for me. I'm like, stop fucking paying people to do all this done for you shit. Dude, your gym used to do $150K a month. You know what to do.
Just do it.
Been in the game long enough. Just do it.
Nobody's going to do this because of you.
Like, nobody, like, just put that work in, especially early on, like paying this. And he's like, yeah. And then I took a look at it. I was like, this stuff is awful. And he's like, I've been trying to reach these people. I messaged them 4 weeks ago, haven't heard from them. And it's like, that's your competition. And some people are still somehow getting away with it, but eventually that's going to stop. The consumer, and that's actually something I actually was thinking about earlier today, and it kind of goes a little bit along with this, is we're debating in Gym Academy, and it goes against, when I think about an offer structure, how I've always done offers starting back with Legion is like specific result, time frame, guarantee. Like some sort of risk reversal in it. And that's how we like to do our offers. So it does two things. When you have that kind of like guarantee or promise, or specific really promise,
right,
it puts onus on you as the business owner to deliver. Right. And you have to push, and you have to make sure your product is good, and your service is good, and your results are there, and make sure your team keeps their shit together. And then it also gives some trust for the consumer, where they're like,
we're willing to put our neck on the line too.
Yeah, and if they don't produce or something like that, or this relationship having, like, boom, we have this. And I think we chatted a little bit about this. We're debating on actually going away, which is just so different. And I think this is also like a different between as you build out brands versus more DR, direct response based companies.
Yeah.
Going away even from any sort of
guarantees and
really
shit.
specific guarantees. Because it's interesting. On one hand, we're like, we can guarantee anything, but we can't. And this is what you and I were talking about last week. Like, we can't do the work for the person. But
Right.
we know, all those guarantees. But also, I'm kind of starting to think too is, and more like, and we hear like Taylor and stuff talk about it. It's when everybody's making these grandiose guarantees and promises. Sometimes it's better to just go in the opposite direction, and zag with they're zigging and kind of thing. And we're debating on some of that is just actually dropping those guarantees. Like, yeah, we guarantee we can grow your gym.
Right.
But, when everybody else is saying we're going to add, 500 clients in the next 21 days and you don't have to do anything or work with you for free, we're like, yeah, fuck that.
But so here's
almost being
thing.
like, yeah, go on.
In my industry, nobody's guaranteeing but us. So it's like, there's no guarantees. There's literally no other company guarantees anything.
Yeah, I've seen one that kind of has a guarantee.
It's like a lead guarantee for a certain amount of price.
No, what I've seen is more like it's a range, like get this to this many cases in time period. But it's a flaccid.
Well, but there's no guarantee. That's just like an ad. And they come in there and like, you can get attorneys sign anywhere from 10 to 20 cases over the next, 3 to 9 months or 3 to 6 months or whatever like that. Yeah. It's just like an arbitrary number that makes nothing. It means nothing. There's no like specific, like we'll put our money on the back, sign an agreement and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with you because in the gym space, everybody's guaranteed, we'll do this or you don't pay. And dude, I cringe every time I hear this, or you don't pay, or you don't. And it's like one after another. It's like, God, dude, come up with something else, man.
Yeah. And that's what's so like, because when we first started launching, the, 6-week challenge, and we guarantee we'll help you lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks or it's free. The reason it worked so damn well is back in 2014 when I launched it, there was maybe 3 other gyms across the country that were fucking doing it.
Right.
A little bit more, but it was a very small group of us in Sam's mastermind. And there was, everybody else out there was either doing a low barrier offer, but we're making 0 guarantees. They're like, we can't promise anything, kind of thing. So that's why it works so well. Probably just like for you right now, is like, you're the only one. But then if you look at the spectrum, almost awareness spectrum and the audience spectrum, when they see in the maturity of the market, it's like when you're brand new, you can kind of put anything out there, and then you can get a little bit specific, and then you can throw a little bit more guarantees. And then it's like people are almost, they're not competing on price, they're competing on outlandish fucking guarantees to the point where then the consumer goes, I don't believe any of this shit. And they've been burned by so many people that they're just like, oh, another fucking one of these outlandish, stupid guarantees. It's not going to work just like the other one. I fell for it before. I'm not going to fall for it again.
Yeah.
So that's so it's interesting.
It kind of loses its luster.
So, and it's also like, to use that the kind of, I've never done anything that I've taken serious where, and I bet you if you think about your top clients, I'd be curious to know. There's nothing that I've personally done, and I think I'm the absolute customer that you want.
You'll buy anything, dude. If it comes across your feed, you'll just click it. Like, you need to get your credit cards cut up.
I've been very good recently, but I think about
because you're in a different country.
Doesn't make a difference. But I think about it. Anything that I've done, or at least program that I've joined, if there was, I don't think I've really ever done anything that was like, hey, we promise X, Y, Z. But that I've done serious, it's never been about that. It's been more about
I've never done it either.
Yeah. So it's like your best customers probably aren't coming in because, and here's the thing, because of the outlandish guarantee. If there's some sort of promise where if you're at fault, that probably helps them get across the finish line. So like maybe the offer when they're actually in the sales consultation is a different conversation to a degree. But yeah, like, we think about our last couple of clients that, that we brought in that are like perfect. It's been 0 guarantee.
Right.
Yeah. Just like, no, like,
I mean, our guarantees almost helps them do what they're supposed to do and weed out people that don't want to do it, right? Like, you have to call within 5 minutes at least 3 times a day for the first 10 days. And if you send out a retainer, you can't close them on the phone. That's your fault, and that counted as one, right? Like ours is almost to like make sure that the clients are doing the right stuff. And like, if you're not willing to do that, please don't take this offer because we're not going to honor it. If you can't do those things, you won't be successful.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a huge point to it, because you have a conditional guarantee, just like we did in the
Right.
gyms.
Right.
Like, we'll help
But
you
it's
lose
not
20 pounds in
conditional by
6
a bunch
weeks.
of bullshit. Like it's conditional by just the
No.
basic minimum stuff that you should be doing.
Well, that's exactly it. It's like if we tell somebody we're going to help them lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, we're
Right.
telling them, hey, you're agreeing that in order for this to happen,
Right.
I'm going to have to eat the right amount of meals X per time. I'm going to work
Right.
out X days. Like,
Right.
those are the stuff that we were having him agree to. And it's like, if you
Right.
didn't, and there was a couple of, obviously, if we're going to give your money back,
Like
we're going to
posting and stuff, and yeah.
yeah. So, but like, it's the same thing. Like, your guarantee, I think it's great. It's like, hey, we're going to help you do this, which in reality is just a way to trick you into doing the shit you're supposed to be doing to grow your business.
And if you did the shit you're supposed to be doing, you wouldn't need a guarantee. So like this is the funniest
Yeah.
part. It's like we're making you do the things that you need to do
Yeah.
in order to not even have to have a guarantee and hit this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Like,
it's like in my last ad I put out, and I'm sure you saw it. I probably sent you every one of my freaking ads.
is that the one where you're in the pool?
Yeah, either that one or the other one. And I was just saying, like, you know, if you ever said lead generation companies suck, like it's probably you need to stop pointing the finger outward and look inward. Like, and it's probably something you're doing wrong. And then, like we talked about, like giving them the scripts that they need to be successful. And not only are we going to give you the leads that you've been unsuccessful with previously, probably better quality and more quantity, but we're going to teach you how to work those, because that's where the other companies failed. They never taught you the sentiment of the client, how to work them properly and how to convert these. Because trust me, it works. It's not everyone in social media, the wrong numbers are bullshit. They're fake. It's false. You should sign 15% of them and your ROI is going to be insane. But you got to do
money
this right.
printing machine. So that's actually, I think, a really good point. It makes me think of two things. The first thing is, if you do hear, it's like almost if you get a client and they've been like, oh, they're constantly bouncing between company and between company. It's like, hey, one time, if no company's ever worked for you, it may be you. And like, so it's like,
well,
hey,
we say this on our sales calls. Like John's instructed to say.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it's like you have to then be like, hey, it's you, or it also could be one. Well, if there's a lot of those companies that you've worked with, it's probably not the case. But if it's like one or two, and they've done that, it's like, well, maybe they just weren't clear enough. Because like those companies that also, I think the problem is, especially with those guarantees, those outlandish guarantees, because it does work in marketing. It's like, hey, I put this outlandish guarantee, but then they don't get specific on what they need to do in order to accomplish it.
Right.
It's like, no. Like literally, like we're just going to put these fucking people in your door. So people like think that's actually going to happen. It's like, you have to do the work in your business at every level for it to grow. And the longer, unless you've just created a brand new segment, a brand new market or whatever, and you're the first in it, there's going to be work that's involved. Like I don't know if any gym that works with adults is going to get somebody that has never worked out in their life. At this point in time, like,
there's no chance
everybody
in hell.
knows there's not a single client that you're going to work with that doesn't know they have to eat right, they have to work out, and they got to sleep. Maybe the sleep part they may not understand, but for the most part, they've had some sort of experience. So, you have to put the work in. Like, they're just not going to be like, oh my gosh, this is brand new opportunity out there that we've never
Marketing's
heard of.
job is to let them know that and have them feel that. But yeah,
I mean, I guess with the drugs coming out soon and the magic pills for losing weight, like that's what they can just say. Like, hey, magic pill, lose weight. You don't fucking eat shit. People are just going to give them money, and that's
very true.
going to be in our near future. But
I just think we need to just bring it back to, like, companies got to just do good, honest business and do right by people and hold them accountable and get the right clients. And I don't know. It's just like, I just been so frustrated lately with seeing all these fucking bullshit where you don't pay ads, and hearing customers like getting shit experience, or like buying from a company where I can't call or talk to a real person. I have to email and like wait for a response. It doesn't come back. Like, I've been really frustrated with businesses recently. And like a lot of my messaging to my team has just been like, with empathy, dude, be there for people, understand their situation. Our processes and our rules and our guidelines are our guidelines, but they're meant to be understood and explained in a correct manner, to the client, so that they're not like hurt, when they hear that. But yeah, dude, it's really fucking weird, man. I think how businesses operate.
It's going to be interesting, especially with all the AI that's happening, and how a lot of business is going to be aided by AI, and you can't
Yeah.
ignore it. You have to accept it, and you have to start incorporating it into your business.
Yeah.
The one thing that, at least what I see, that humans are never going to lose touch with and never going to lose that desire for, because it's part of us, we're tribal, it's in our being, is that human connection. So
Yeah.
while on the back end, you can have a lot of AI, a lot of automation to help you get processes done, to make you a more efficient, a more profitable business, what will separate you is that human connection, that truly, as we call it, the fucking giving a fuck muscle. So when we look at the document that we have on customer experience, we call it flex your give a shit, so that people truly understand. And that's what's going to, like, you can have, and I think you should have all the AI and all the automation in your business assisting
Right.
you to increase operational efficiency.
Right.
But if you could still keep that human component to it, where, yeah, they can access you and they can still get in touch, that is going to be a separating factor.
And sometimes people just want to be heard, dude. Sometimes people just want to be heard.
Yeah.
Like, the rules could be the rules, and it is, hey guys, this is our process, this is what it is. But sometimes people just want to be heard. Like, I understand your point of view, dude. I get it. I'm sorry that this happened. I don't feel good about it, but here are the facts, and here's what happened, and here's why we should have changed this.
One of the worst things that you can say in business, like, it's just our policy.
Right. It's terrible.
So, it's like, really? It's like, you're nothing to us. You're just a transaction. You're just money. Sorry, this is our policy. Nothing we can fucking do.
I had talked to a client yesterday who didn't retain, and they were like having tough time signing people, and then they were very specific. They only wanted, like, commercial cases, and I'm like, we can't do that. They'll come, but it's only like 10 to 15, maybe 20% of the cases are going to be like Uber, Lyft, commercial cases.
Yeah.
So it's tough. And then I told the lady, she's like, well, I was like, what was your messaging? Because they haven't gotten in contact with a lot of them, or they were just telling them, like, hanging up on them. I was like, well, what was your messaging? What was your intro? And then she was telling me, like, along the lines of what the intake team had said. I was like, I apologize to you. I think this is more on us than you. And here's the reason. I was like, and I don't think this worked out for you, because I just don't think you understood the sentiment of our leads and how to contact them properly. And that's why you didn't have enough opportunities. Would this have changed? Or would you have gotten a wrongful death case and you would have made 7 figures off a case? Maybe not. But you would have gotten a few cases and saw, the trend, and been on a better trajectory, and understood, like, this is a feasible thing, and I'm eventually going to come across a good case, right? But I was like, we didn't, like, the expectations weren't set clearly on our end. Like, we cannot guarantee that these kind of cases are going to come in. Like, we told her we'll get them, but I'm like, it's very rare, right? You may market for 6 months, not get one of those cases, and all of a sudden you get 2 of them, right? Like, there's no rhyme or reason or how they come in. We don't pick them up on a shelf, give 1 of these and 3 of these every month. But the sentiment of the lead and how we contact them is super important, because if there's no congruency in what they've seen, what they've filled out, and then the contact they're getting afterwards, like, they're just going to be like, who the fuck are you? I'm not interested.
Congruency is huge. Well, that's also the other thing that actually made me think about something I was thinking about yesterday. And, when you have somebody that comes and works with you, and let's say, like, that might be where they're coming to you because you just produce case after case after case, and they know that, like, they've seen your ad, or they've heard people that work with you, like, hey, listen, we know you blow up, firms. And they're like, but I only want to do this, where it's like, hey, okay, that's fine. Here's a caveat. Then just understand, you're not going to get the same. You can't have the same expectations that anybody else would have, because then if we put in the messaging like Uber and Lyft and all that stuff, and like only specifically going over that person, you're going for a smaller pool, and that's okay. But you have to understand it, and that's one of those things where it's like, sometimes if you're not clear on what it is, where it's like, hey, I know that if a gym does XYZ, they're going to get a certain result.
Right.
And that means, though, like, this is the kind of marketing they're going to be using. This is the kind of the follow-up and stuff they're going to be using. It doesn't have to be the same exact, like, the container of the advertising is similar. This is what the follow-up has to look like.
Right.
This is what the sales process has to look like. Whether they, like, retain essentially is on them, because, there are certain things, yes, that have to be in place for you to retain and convert. But ultimately, like, if they want to switch it up, or it's like, I don't want to do that follow-up, okay, well, you're going to get a different experience. Or, hey, I know that these are the kind of offers that work really well, but I want to do this offer. Okay, here's what's potentially could happen. They have to understand that the changes that they're making in that are creating a different outcome. And that's okay as long as they truly understand it.
Right.
Because we had a client that like, he just wanted to, he didn't want to do any sales calls. And I was like, hey man, like that's awesome. I
don't
totally
want to take your money, bro. Like it's not going to work.
But it's like, we got super clear. We're just like, just so you know, the model of a micro gym that we know that is super successful gets leads. They call those leads, they have appointments, and they sell those people into either a front-end program or a membership.
Let's just talk about the micro gyms that we know to be successful. Business in general. Nobody's successful without having any kind of acquisition process.
Well, no. So hold on. Let me finish, because he wanted to have an acquisition process. He wanted them to buy just directly from the sales page, which is fine.
Got it.
So it's like, hey, that's okay. Listen, that would be fucking bonkers badass. Like I know Fit Body Boot Camp, like they've done a pretty good job where they get their organic traffic, they get somebody to buy like off their website. That's part of their thing, is they give it to their franchisees. So they've already had you already have somebody that's like a super high quality lead. You now have to convert them into a member. They've already paid.
Right.
That being said, like they're a big brand. They have a lot of SEO, all that cool stuff. But if you want to, at a local business or anybody, if you want to, then you're just driving a direct to sale and they're buying it. Generally, your sales page is going to have to be super good. Wasn't a super big fan of hearing that. I'm like, hey, listen, here's this page. You have all these assets. You have all this stuff. Like, just understand, here's some expectations just from looking at a whole, like the world of e-com and high converting pages. And especially when you're doing low ticket or high ticket and all this stuff. It's like, just so you understand, like there might be a lot of trial and error in here, because what you're trying to do, love the idea, hasn't exactly been proven to be super effective for local gyms. Doesn't mean it won't work. It's just, you're going to have to put in a lot of effort and be a fucking killer copywriter and stuff like that, especially if you're going after cold people. Putting that offer in there, being able to really have a good price point. He wanted to have a lower price point or whatever, because he's like, I just need to get him in. It was like, cool. But it was just like, dude, just understand, like you're changing the game. It's also not what exactly we do, the way that we do things. Can we consult and help you on this 100%, but just being super clear, because we don't want to like fucking get you. And, I write, obviously I sent you that sales page I wrote the other day, and I've sold products online as well. So like I've done the direct to sale with sales pages, and I've even used in our gyms where I've sold people without having to get on it. But those are a little bit actually more warmer people, not exactly direct to cold. And there are certain things, and he wasn't trying to do like a $7 for 7 days or fucking, a 30 for 30 or anything like that. He was completely different, like selling he had a 6-week offer. And it was like 100. It was like 97.
Wouldn't it be amazing if we can just like send people into the gym off of a page and they're just already paid, they're good, and you don't have to do anything. I wouldn't like that though. Like I like the human interaction. Like I want to meet somebody I'm spending money with and stuff like that. Like I don't know, for something like a gym, like I want to get the vibe of it.
Would you be upset if for Hatboro you had 40 people a month who prepaid before they even came in the door?
No, I wouldn't. I'm saying as a consumer.
Yeah. Oh.
Like I want to meet the coach. I want to come in. I'm like, dude, I like this place. It's a good vibe in here, man. Like, dude, this is pretty freaking cool. Like, I like it.
Well, I think I agree with you. I think that's probably going to be what most people are going to do, except you see a lot of like people that have followings and everything like that. They can do those direct to sale because they have a following.
Yeah, people know
they're
them,
generally. And the person that might be buying it cold is like really in pain, really looking for a solution, knows somebody who did the thing, or like was able to binge a bunch of the content or something like that. And I don't think so. It's like for that, it's like if I'm going to a gym, I want to like, unless it's dirt fucking cheap or whatever, and an absolutely stupid killer deal, then chances are, I'm going to want to chat with these people and meet them. And that's like, he could, on that page, if that wanted to be like, you have to have a killer sales page that hits all of the objections, hits the desires, and tells them how that maybe have an absolutely killer VSL on there. That would probably help. You can't just be like, hey, here's the name of what we're doing. Here's the price. Here's some features. Here's some benefits. Like that's not going to cut it. If you want it to sell, like you have to put that effort in, build out that VSL. At least this is what my take would be, and have a killer sales page in order for this to work. Or you could just fucking get somebody's information, call them, do an appointment in person.
You know what made me think? I was thinking about my experience, like signing up at Lifetime and kind of going in there and seeing it. And I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool. Like, I went there. there's no good gyms in Westchester, like at all. There's no like high end nice gyms in Westchester. They all suck.
Like bougie
Yeah, bougie
gyms kind
Angelo
of thing,
places.
like a Lifetime. Yeah, like a Lifetime.
Yeah, there's none.
Because it can't support it.
Yeah, they have like ACAC or whatever it's called. That sucks. They got the YMCA, which is like fucking cheesy. It's like,
yeah, and I don't know.
There's no like. I want like an Equinox.
Yeah, well, you don't have the population and the income to support a gym like that.
Yeah, King of Prussia does.
So,
that's why.
King of Prussia does. Yeah, So, and there's like certain, potentially maybe mainline. Like Westchester is a good pocket of income and very successful people, but it's much more rural.
And it's old money too. It's like,
yeah,
it's not like you're not like getting like young professionals making 300 or something like that, 250, 300. It's typically like older money.
Some broke ass college kids partying it up.
And broke ass college kids drinking. Their parents are wealthy though. They're the ones covering, stimulating that economy.
Yeah,
dude. I think like kind of like to sum up what we talked about today. One of the most important things. Just treat if you're in business, man, just treat people like you would treat your family members that you like.
Yeah.
Just treat them like family, dude. And if like you have rules and you have processes, right, and that you have policies, there's one way to say like, hey, that's just our policy. Or you can say like, hey, dude, I appreciate it. I understand where you're coming from. The reason we have this set this way is because of this. Unfortunately, it's the way it is, but I'd love to work with you in another aspect, such as blank, 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 right? And offer an alternative and redirect. Like there's a way to, because back to your ski thing, there's a wedding here. Don't give them any discounts. The guy's telling you, like, don't give them any discounts at the wedding. It's more like, hey, let's make it an amazing experience for them. We're not going to be offering discounts, guys, just so you know that, right? But again, they're a wedding here. They chose our place. Let's just be grateful and gracious that they chose to invest money into each and every one of us, and that paid each and every one of your paychecks. So when we're eating dinner tonight, let's be thankful of all the people that came here with that wedding that are paying and keeping this business running. So let's show them like love, attention, and gratitude, but also that we have to stick firm to the pricing.
Yeah. Well, and there's also, that's a great way to do it. The other thing too is, this is one of the things we already told people at Legion. It's we make decisions based off of our core values. That's why they're there. So yeah, you might have SOPs and you have your internal policies and all that stuff. But we always told people that if they did something that maybe wasn't by the book or protocol, but they could justify it to our core values, and that's why, then it's like, cool. It's like, hey, why did you go and give that person like a fucking free this or whatever? It's like, well, hey, listen, this happened. I was doing this, boom, boom, boom. So it was because of this. And it's like, great, awesome. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you for being a human being.
Yeah.
Like,
or somebody comes back, somebody canceled a membership and they come back in town and they're really close to the community. And they say, hey, I wanted to stop by and see. Say, hey, hop in for a workout. And this happened in the gym the other day. And I'm like, dude, our policies, nobody works out for free. But the guy's visiting back in town. All the members know them. It was a good post. They were happy to see him. Have him come back in for a workout. Totally cool, right? Like, but the policy is $25 a class, right? And you're not a member. You're not paying anymore. Like,
yeah, it's I don't know. I 100% agree. We should end it. Treat people like family. Don't be shitty.
No, treat people like family that you like. Just make sure it's the family members that you like and get along with.
Yeah, it's a good caveat.